Hi, this is Risa and welcome to my stitch along series. In this video, I'm going to show you how I adapted a motif from Yumiko Higuchi's book Zakka Embroidery to embroider a napkin for my bread basket. I'm using the completed napkin here to show you how I started. I needed to know how many A4 size papers would be needed to print the full size of the pattern. And I found out that it works out easier if I used basically 6 sheets of paper to print it rather than just 2 or 3, because this way the pattern was laid out better. I used Adobe Illustrator to make the repetitive pattern. So once you're in the app, you can click on create new and you'll create a new canvas. Here I am going to select an A4 size canvas. You can also select a letter size or custom make it. Just to let you know that I'm not an Illustrator expert, so this is really me doing it as I go along. By clicking on this button here, you can also create A4 size artboards, and I've created 6. I'm putting them all together to form the panel. Now here's the book Zakka Embroidery, where I am going to get the pattern for my project. So this is a flower from her summer flower section of the book, and what you need to do is essentially click on the picture here, click camera, and you can take a picture of the pattern directly in Illustrator, and you can click that, as you can see, and you have the image that you can use. Using my eye pencil, I am going to click on this toggle here and turn the image around, so you can zoom in and zoom out as you saw with 2 fingers or with both your hands. In the corner you can resize the image, and I'm going to put it in one of the artboards here to trace the pattern. Now in order to trace it, I am going to click on this Vectorize image here and click on that little circle. Now that helps vectorize the raster image that is here. You have that same circle down here at the bottom as well. When I click on this button, you'll see that the image is converted into a sketch. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, and I need to get rid of all of the noise in this image. So I'm going to pull the noise toggle here to 100%, and you'll see that some of the lines have disappeared. I'm going to click that ignore white so that the white background here is something that doesn't come up when I want to create the pattern. Now that I'm happy with the sketch, I'm going to click on the Vectorize button again here, and that's going to create all of the vectorized paths. Now I'm going to click on the path button here so I can delete all of that noise. So now that's created. Now on the top, I'm going to select the image, and you can see that there are some sort of vector nodes that need to be deleted. So I'm going to find them and just simply delete them from the pattern here. As I said, I'm not an Illustrator expert, so I'm sure there is a better and more efficient way of doing this. I just haven't figured it out as yet. And so hopefully this is going to be helpful for you to create your pattern. So now I'm just resizing it and positioning it on the A4 paper just to see what it would look like when it's printed. Now what I realized is that I would need to move this pattern or this image or motif to the actual size of the cloth. So I am copying it, and then I'm going to click back to the home button and create a canvas that is the size of the cloth, which is 46 by 44 centimeters. Now I have the image. I am going to copy it and take it to the edge of the cloth, and I'm going to create a couple more copies of the same image, and then I'm going to click the radial grid here to create multiple patterns. And here, if you pull the central toggle, you can see that you can widen the gap between the flowers, and if you pull that up, you can just have one. Now these little images here I've created to have flowers in the corners, and I'm just going to adjust sort of the spacing between the flower motifs here to a pattern or size that I prefer for the design. And as you can see, I'm just sort of moving these images around. I'm going to create copies of this by clicking on the plus button here, the actions table, and then you can sort of rotate the image. again taking these little corner flowers and adjusting them in the pattern. Now to turn that line of flowers around, I'm going to click on this little square with the line across it, and that allows me to have the toggle to be able to sort of turn the line 360 degrees. And here again, I'm just sort of adjusting all of the flowers in the pattern. And finally, I'm going to click that and toggle that around to face inwards, and there I have it. I have the complete pattern. Now what I need to do is select all of these and group them together, and for that I will need to just select it, press the group button, which is this second box, and you can see that when I select it next time, I can just adjust the entire pattern by increasing or decreasing the size as I want it without destroying the shape of the pattern or motif itself. Now I need to be able to print this into these A4 size papers. So again, we know we need 6 of these sheets. So I'm going to place these A4 sheets side by side. Now the only reason I'm doing this in the iPad is because it does not have the tiling function as yet. The Illustrator for the desktop has an automatic tiling function, and that makes it much easier, but the iPad does not have that feature. So now I'm going to click on the export button. You can see you can have all of the pages. So basically you just export for print, and then you can select the pages that you need to print. So you click on the print button and you'll see these are the pages, and you may need to overlap some of the patterns and line them up when you put them together to create the full pattern. So here it is. I have created my full pattern, stuck it up onto a window, and then I've traced it onto the cloth. So in this case it was pretty difficult to do. I had to stand while doing it. So here is the embroidered napkin. I've embroidered most of the flowers, and I've left sort of 3 for the stitch along part of this video. I've used cotton garden threads for my napkin. I like them because they come in beautiful varied colors. I'm using verbena here, which is this purple shade for these flowers here, and I'm using cosmos, which is the orange and pink shaded flowers here. So they're both absolutely gorgeous. If you want to use just one shade, I suggest buying 2 of the same colors. Now you can use either a 3-inch or a 4-inch embroidery hoop, and since it's right at the corner, I am going to use the smaller 3-inch. You can use the 4 as well. It's going to be a bit tight, but I think the 3-inch would be perfect. Now the other option for you is to just embroider the pattern before you actually cut the napkin, and then of course size the napkin after you finish embroidering the border. Now first I'm going to use black 310 DMC thread, and I'm going to use 2 strands of it to stitch the stems, the leaves, and the central part of the flower. So here are 2 threads that I've taken out and threaded in a needle. And how I like to work on my embroidery, as you've seen in previous videos, is to start from the front, like so. So insert the needle a bit and take it out, so you have a little bit of a tail, and you can pull it through and leave the tail a little bit and insert the needle back in, and this allows you to create a neat back, especially if it's like a napkin and people can see both the front and the back of your work. So here I'm going to do French knots with 2 loops around the needle. Make sure you hold the tail as I'm doing before you pull the needle through, and essentially do a couple of knots. In this case I am going to snip the tail off first so it doesn't get tangled up, and now I am stitching the French knots. Now I'm going to stitch the stems with stem stitch, and just make sure that you are inserting and taking out the needle on the same side of the thread. As you can see, I am taking out the needle on the left side, so this will ensure an even pattern. And on the back side, to ensure that it's neat, I'm going to insert it through one of these stitches before I bring it out to stitch the leaves. And I'm going to stitch the leaves with satin stitch here. Now, a lot of people like to create a border with the single strand of thread before they do the satin stitch. I'm not doing that, just to save time really. And then here again, I am going to stitch the second leaf. Now, since I'd run out of thread, I have to start again from the front and just carry out the satin stitch from this end. As you can see, I just inserted it from the front. Since I'm alternating the colors of the flowers in my pattern, my next color will be the verbena, which is the purple shade of thread. And I'm going to stitch chain stitches. As you can see, I'm started from the front. You insert it in the hole that you came out on, take the thread behind the needle and pull it through, and you can see that you create a chain stitch in that way. Here I'm holding the end of the front or the tail, and then I'm going to snip it off. Again, insert the needle where you brought it out on the fabric, take it a tad front and take the thread behind it to create the chain stitch, and just continue doing this. Now when you get to the end of the petal, just insert into the fabric and then come back up inside the loop, insert the needle and then loop it around the needle like so, and then you can create a nice little chain stitch to cover the space of the petals. After ending off the petal, to go to the next petal, you just insert the thread or loop it under the stitches so that it looks neat here, and then bring it up for the next petal. And there I've completed the purple flower, and now all I need to do is switch colors and repeat the pattern. I hope this video was useful. I tried something new by introducing Adobe Illustrator. I'm not perfect at it, I'm still learning, so I just showed you what I've learned so far. I hope it was useful nevertheless. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to click on the subscribe, like, and notification buttons. See you again next time. Bye bye.